is you can be the best tradie in the world on the tools, but if you don't know how to run a financially sustainable business, you're going to end up in trouble, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the major problems I think tradies have when they start their own business. They don't realise how much business knowledge is needed to run a business. It's not just about the technical skills. There's a lot of business skills that you need as well.
Welcome to Building Perspective, the Master Builders SA podcast. I'm your host, Will Frogley. Join me as I speak with some characters in the building and construction industry.
At Dulux Trade, we're making paint easy for tradies all over Australia. With over 230 stores and over 1,000 paint professionals, expert advice for your next job is closer than you might realise. Need specialist advice for a tricky job? Easy. On-site and need it delivered? Easy. So get to know your local Dulux Trade Centre, Inspirations Paint or Paint Spot today. And while you're there, sign up for Dulux Trade Direct for trade pricing and simplified ordering. Because at Dulux Trade, we're making paint easy.
If you're a tradie in South Australia at the moment, you're absolutely flat out. It has been a lucrative time for some, but not everyone. And it's also been a very stressful time. So today's guest, I think, can provide some really good tips on how to deal with the current environment if you're a tradie. And that's Paul Rogers, tradie coach and a very successful author. Paul, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me on here, Will. It's great to be here.
So I guess, Paul, probably a good place to start, mate, is just telling us a bit about your background. You were an electrician originally, but tell us a bit about your journey and what your focus is on now and how you might be able to help people in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, I left school at 16, didn't like school very much, like most tradies, and very much more practical than theory. So yeah, I went straight into electrical apprenticeship and did that for 8 years. And to be honest, I wasn't really a very good electrician. So I moved to telecommunications and got to work overseas in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, and then to Eastern Europe as well, doing telecommunications, project management, and later business development before coming to Australia and running some very successful businesses for about 17 years.
And I take it you're originally from somewhere in the UK? Whereabouts exactly?
Yes. Yes, from Grantham in Lincolnshire, a small country town.
Nice. And so what brought you out to Australia? Had you dreamt of coming to Australia to live, or was it just an opportunity that came up? How did you end up out here?
No, I followed the girl. So I met my wife, Georgie. She was nursing over in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. We met out in the desert on Valentine's Day, and she left after about a year out of Saudi, and I followed her and proposed. And then after spending a bit of time in Europe with Hewlett-Packard, we moved to Australia to have kids.
And you're a tradie coach and author. Just tell us a bit about some of the ways you are helping tradies in the industry currently.
Yeah, absolutely. So it all started after I left my CEO role to start my own business coaching business. And I joined a networking group called BNI, and I was seeing tradies coming into the group, getting really busy and then having to leave because they didn't know how to grow their business. And so I started working with traders from that, and I'll help them with their growth strategies, understanding business, because one of the major problems that most tradie business owners have when they start their business is that they've had no business education. It's not something we get taught at trade school, and there's very little education when we first start out in business. So I found a niche, and I've been focusing on helping traders be more profitable and have a better lifestyle for the last 5 years.
That's super important because you can be the best tradie in the world on the tools, but if you don't know how to run a financially sustainable business, you're going to end up in trouble, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the major problems I think tradies have when they start their own business. They don't realise how much business knowledge is needed to run a business. It's not just about the technical skills. There's a lot of business skills that you need as well.
So I guess let's cover a couple of different angles here. Your advice to someone who's starting a business, someone's who's been around for a while and is looking to grow the business, and someone who's had their own business for quite a while. What different advice do you give to those three different groups?
Well, very much when you first start a business, it's about getting your name out there, getting the visibility and getting the work. So quite often we see for the first couple of years, it's all about being on the tools, getting the work done. You get to a point then where being on the tools on your own you can't keep going because you're spending all day on the tools and then trying to do all the business paperwork at night and on weekends. And you'd really have no lifestyle as such. It's all work. And that's not what most people get into business for. They want to have that flexibility to have time off, especially when kids come on the scene. So the second part for more established businesses, well, how do I get off the tools? How do I free up my time so that I can sort of have that balance with my lifestyle and with the family? Because it's all about working to live, not living to work, right? So it's how they can free up their time and provide that balance. And then further on, as a business grows, it's about how you lead those businesses when you've got a full team of technicians as well as admin staff, so that you've got the skills to be able to lead the business.
And tradies are in really high demand at the moment. So I guess, how do you create that work-life balance? Is it being a bit selective about which work you do, or what kind of tips have you got when, I mean, there's a lot of money being thrown at tradies at the moment, but then, do they have time to breathe at the end of the day? What are you seeing out there, and what advice have you got?
Yeah, first of all, make sure that you're profitable. So make sure that you understand your financial numbers so that you are making money. And then it is about balance, because yes, you can work all the hours. There's plenty of work out there, but you're going to get to a stage where you're going to stress yourself. You're going to burn yourself out. You've got to be able to manage yourself as well as the workload. So it's very important that you do sort of take time away from the business and spend time with family. Because if you're sick or if you're not in your best, then the business is going to suffer in a way.
Mental health is a big issue in our industry, and has been for a very long time. And it's an issue that I think, to be honest, has gotten worse through COVID. It's put a lot of people under a lot of stress. What advice have you got to people who might be doing it tough at the moment? We still have a culture where a lot of us feel like we can't talk about our problems, but that can often make them worse, can't it?
Yeah, and this is a big passion of mine. I unfortunately suffered from depression when I was working as CEO of a business. It's very lonely being a business owner, and quite often you take it all in yourself. You don't share, especially with your partner and people around you. So the key thing is to basically you seek some advice, get some help, even if it's just to talk about your business. Just by doing that and sort of working through how you can manage your business better and not be quite so stressful, have that balance, can help with every other part of the mental side of running a business as well.
Do you get involved at a level, where you talk about being active physically as well away from work, or just having those outlets, whatever it might be, whether it's going fishing or playing golf or whatever it is? All these things can help us be more mentally healthy, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And quite often, a lot of the trade business owners, initially, they might be playing football or they might be into their golf. But as they get busier and busier, that's usually one of the first things that gets dropped. So thoroughly encourage people to keep doing this sport. I very much, where possible, have sessions on the golf course, or we go for a walk. It is all about having that balance in your life, and also it helps with the fitness as well. If you're physically fit, you're going to be mentally fit as well.
I agree 100%. And myself, I'm not on the tools or anything, but I've got a pretty full-on job, and I think it's so important to have that time with your family. And for me, it's that physical exercise really gets the endorphins going and pumps me up for the next week. I love playing sport. I love being active. And if I get the opportunity to do that, I feel like I'm in a pretty good space. But if I'm so busy I haven't had time to exercise or see my family, I do feel a toll on that, on myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Naturally through that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I guess going into some of the financial challenges, because a lot of the stress does come from financial challenges. Everyone knows the industry is really busy at the moment, but it's not necessarily equating to a lot of profit, is it? So I guess, what are you seeing out there, and what advice have you got for tradies to get through a pretty difficult period where they're really busy but not necessarily making that much money, and how they can set themselves up for, I guess, the years to come?
Yeah, the key one is to really understand where your margins are, which types of activities you're doing aren't creating as bigger margins as others. I'm not a massive fan of just whacking up your prices just because you can, because sooner or later the market will change, and people tend to have long memories. So if you're extortionately pricing for jobs now when it's a bit quieter, then it might bite you in the foot later. But make sure that the jobs that you're doing are profitable, because there's no point doing jobs that are very low on profit because all you're doing is spinning your tires. You're not actually getting any further forward. So make sure they're profitable, but not excessively so. I think there's plenty of opportunity for businesses to make money and still provide a good value service. So that will be the key components. And also, look, one of the challenges at the moment, as we know, is getting more qualified trades to be able to do the work. So you just need to be able to utilize the trades that you've got better, but also making sure that you're not burning them out as well. So making sure that the workload is not too excessive to get the jobs done, because the work's going to be there for a while. So let's spread it out over whatever time it's needed.
Yeah, regardless of what business you run, your people are your greatest assets. You have to look after them and understand that they're human too, not just yourself. So I think that's really important, that, we take the best care of our people possibly at the moment, because everyone's busy, everyone's tired, and often that's when mistakes can happen as well. Yeah,
exactly. So the businesses with the right culture that do look after their staff, that respects their time and also the amount of energy they've got, and just by having a few of those sort of toolbox meetings or going out for a beer if you finish early up on a Friday, can make all the difference.
I think you raised a really good point earlier about there needing to be some kind of money left over after a job, because tradies work really hard, and it's only fair that they have a decent amount of money left over at the end of it. So finding that sweet spot, again, you don't want to burn future relationships, but I think that's super important.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest challenges at the moment for tradie business owners is that they think, I'm paying myself a salary, that's all I need. But you should always be focusing on the business profit. So whether the salary is yours or another trade that you take on to replace you, the profit is where the business owner really is going to make the money in the future. So the more you can focus on making sure that, yes, you've got enough to cover your cost of sales, you've got your operating expenditure, but you've also got your profit as well as the tax, then you're going to be a lot more sustainable as a business.
We all know that there's shortages of people, materials, etc. at the moment, and that's making it very challenging to run a business. Are you seeing that much at the moment? Things like tradies just can't get simple things like a new vehicle delivered and stuff like that, and the toll that might be having on productivity?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm talking to a lot of my guys at the moment around sort of making sure you've got some really strong goals and you know where you're heading. If you know that you're going to need a new vehicle in the next 12 months, start planning early. Especially obviously at the moment, we've still got the instant write-off for another 12 months. So we'll make sure we're taking full advantage of that. If you know you're going to be growing the team by another couple of people and you're going to need another van or ute on the road, start planning ahead of time. We're seeing obviously for new vehicles a good 9-12 months waiting list. So start looking for second-hand vehicles as well. And it's just making sure that the goals that you're setting and where the main focus of your business going forward is, that you've got the assets to be able to deliver that.
So are you a big fan of, writing down goals where you want to be in, a year's time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, or anything like that? What advice do you give to tradies around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So through our program that we run a 3 to 5 year vision as an overarching goal, and then we look at our 12-month goals, 90-day goals, and then weekly and daily activities. And so it's all about creating those habits around sort of how you manage your time. So it should always be focusing on not just on the day-to-day activities, whether it's on the tools or certain meetings, but what are the goals or activities you need to be doing on a daily basis that are going to move you closer to your long-term goals. Because you're always going to get to your goals at some stage if you work hard enough, but if you're focused on them, you can actually get them a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm. Now, that's a big part of your book, where you provide a lot of really good information. Can you tell us a bit about that book?
Yeah, so Get Off the Tools, the Tradie's Guide to More Profit, More Time and Less Stress. So I wrote this book after working with trades for about 4 years, and I was seeing very similar challenges coming up time and time again. So I went out and I decided to write the book about it. So it actually was a lot easier experience than I thought. I left school at 16. I wasn't particularly good at English, and I've written this book all myself. I've had it edited to make it sound properly, but it's written in a way that's easy to read and comes from a trade background. So in a way, there's no fluff in there. It's all simple language to get the message across that you need in all areas of business that's going to get you the results.
And that's so important because it has to be in a relatable style, to the trades. They've got to feel like, you've got a bit of rapport, and obviously you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love reading books, but I know most trades can struggle. So I've done an audio version as well so they can listen to it in the ute. But it's a 2.5 hour book, so it's quite an easy read.
You mentioned your own, battles with mental health. Can you tell us a bit about that and what you learnt through over the years and what you found was helpful, what you learned about yourself, how that's inspired you to help other people, all those types of things?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a tough time for me. I was spending a lot of time overseas doing export sales for the family business. And at that time, my mentor, who I'd worked with both with AT&T and with Hewlett-Packard, had retired. He'd worked hard all his life, spent a lot of time away from his family, and always during his retirement was going to take more time off, spend more time with his family and do more holidays. Well, he retired, and then basically within 3 months, he got cancer and died. And that was a real eye-opener for me. It made me realise that basically you've got to live life full on and for now. It's not a dress rehearsal. And through the emotions of suffering with that, with the stresses of work, it just became too much. It finally got to a stage where I couldn't take any more. And I spent quite a bit of time just really struggling to even get out of bed. And I was lucky I had a good support network. My wife was very strong, and I had good psychologists and people around me to help me through it. But it's not easy. And for business owners, it's all that constant build-up of pressures that are put onto the business owner that if they're not managed and have those releases for the stress and for the balance, sooner or later, it's going to hit you.
Mm-hmm. See, Mates in Construction does some really good work, I think, around suicide prevention, but it's pretty heavily focused on, I guess, workers on the ground, whereas I think there's still a bit of a gap, and you're trying to address it around the actual business owner perspective and addressing those challenges that are causing mental health issues or exacerbating them, the financial pressures of running a business, those types of things. Do you still think there's a pretty big gap there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree that there's some great organisations out there that help with people with mental health. But for me, it's about how can we try and negate those before they even happen. So especially for business owners, it's quite lonely being a business owner, and the more you can get involved with networking groups to help to talk about your business and the struggles you'll have, or whether it's with someone like myself as a tradie coach that can help you sort of manage some of those financial challenges with the business or team challenges, conflict and resolutions around those. It just helps to be able to relieve some of that pressure through talking to someone else.
So Master Builders has recognised that despite the really good work that Mates does, there is a bit of a gap to address that, I guess, those causes of mental stress, depression, etc., for business owners. And, we're really pleased that you're one of our wellness ambassadors who is going to be available to assist people in the industry with one-on-one hourly counselling sessions. We're really proud to be delivering this program in conjunction with the state government, because I think it's the opportunity to really affect a lot of people's lives for the better.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about it. A lot of people feel that business coaching is out of their reach. And so to be able to have a funded service like this from Master Builders and the state government is going to open the doors to a lot of people that can now get some support from a business coach like myself.
Well, we really think it's going to benefit the entire industry, and that's really important from our perspective, because at Master Builders, we really care about the whole of the industry. Everyone in the industry is important, regardless of how big or how small they are. So I think, certainly based on the conversations I'm having with members on a daily basis, there's a really big need for this program in the current environment. So, yeah, we're really, really happy to have you on board, Paul, and some of the other wellness ambassadors, and no doubt you're going to do some really great things for the industry.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it.
So if you could go back in time when you were first starting out as an electrician, what advice would you give to yourself to be successful in our industry?
Wow. One of the things that I only learnt about probably in the last 5-6 years, which would have helped me back when I was starting in the trade, but also when I was running businesses, was about behavioural profiling, understanding how to communicate with different types of people and to be able to motivate them to do the best job they can. It's certainly changed the way that I communicate and talk with people. So that's probably one of the big areas where, and for me, I've always been quite introverted. I'm quite happy being on my own, but and especially now, I'm finding with a lot of the new generation coming through, they've lost the art of communication. It's all very much based around phones and iPads and Snapchat and Facebook, etc. They've learned how not to communicate face to face anymore. So I think that's the key.
Yeah, I'm probably pretty old school in that respect, in that I still really believe that there's no substitute for face-to-face interaction. Above even a phone call is better than text, I think, or social media. I'm pretty old school, but I think it's kind of junk food interaction, if that makes sense. I don't think it's really good for the soul, but I'm also, prepared to understand that that's definitely the way the world's gone and is going and will continue to go. But I think, if you're looking at mental health, my advice to anyone watching this is don't sit at home and stare at your phone or talk on the phone. Get outside, interact with people in the real life, in the real world. Go do something physically active. And I think that certainly will have a very positive benefit to your mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. And as blokes in particular, I know we're getting more and more women into trades, which is fantastic. But blokes in particular have always struggled to talk about how they're feeling. So I think, whether it's going out for some sport or game of cards, any opportunity to communicate and to chat with other guys, who, especially business owners who might be in the same sort of situation as you, is always great. I
think it's not just confined to our industry. I think, to be honest, the amount of time people spend on social media and on their phones is having a really, really negative impact on people's mental health. I really believe that. If you kind of quit social media for a month, I guarantee you'll be feeling a lot more positive about the world. I actually quit my social media a while ago when I was doing my MBA, when I was really busy working full time and trying to do my MBA at the same time. I quit Facebook so it wouldn't be a distraction, and I noticed my mental health and energy levels skyrocketing. I just was far more productive at work. Some people I feel like they can't live without their social media, but I guarantee if you go a month, you'll feel the benefits.
And one of the things that we focus very much on is what's the best use of your time right now? Is the job you're doing now the best thing you could be doing? Is being on social media the best thing you can be doing? If you actually look at and think about what it is you're doing at any moment in time, and then you can make decisions. And you may still decide that is the best use of your time, but just by going through that activity, you can make sure that you're focusing on the right things.
Well, the clock's always ticking in life. One thing we can never get back is time. And how many of us are going to sit on our deathbed and think, oh, gee, I wish I spent more time on Instagram or Snapchat or anything like that? Look, if that's the case and they think that's life well lived, good luck to them. But me, I'd much rather be going out there living life to the fullest.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love most is that the guys that we do work with, most of them are in their sort of late 20s, early 30s. They're starting families. And I get to see them with their babies and their kids and be actually spending time with them, not like I was when I was running the business, basically working all the hours. I didn't get to see a lot of my kids when they were growing up. I missed a lot of the sports activities. So that if they can basically free up their time and have that balance and be able to do those things with their kids when they're young, because you never get that time back. So that's the beauty of running your own business, that you can free up your time and spend more time with your family.
Paul, thanks for coming in today and taking the time to talk about some of these really important issues. Like I said, the people I'm speaking to on a daily basis are doing it tough at the moment. It's a really challenging time to be in the industry, and certainly I think the work that you're doing and others are doing to support them is badly needed. And we've just got to all work together and we'll be the best we can be.
Absolutely. Thanks, Will, for having me, and thanks, Master Builders, for the great work you're doing.
Thanks for joining me on Building Perspective. For more information on Master Builders or our guests, please visit our website at mbasa.com.au.